What is up, everybody? Hope you all are having a good Saturday night. It's been a little bit of a minute, man. It's been a while since we went live on the channel, and we have a lot to talk about. Been a packed off season recently, a lot of recruiting stuff going on, coaching moves, transfer portal, and so much more. So today's live stream, we're going to talk about a lot of different things. We're going to talk about some off-season nuggets, some breakout players, some new recruiting names. We're now transitioning to the class of 2026, and we're just going to preview the season, just do a total Q&A. Again, it's been a while since we did live stream, so we got a lot to talk about. So it's going to be a pretty fun live stream. Again, we're going to go into the comment section pretty early on, see what you guys want to talk about, man. But it's going to be exciting to see. Or not exciting, but it's going to be a very, very fun live stream. All right, I want us to talk a little bit about, I want to start things off talking about the transfer portal class. So I've dove into the transfer portal class a little bit over the last couple of weeks. You know, obviously you saw the players that committed, you saw the stars next to their name, but you didn't necessarily know who was going, or you didn't necessarily know who we were getting. You didn't really dive into the film. At least I didn't, but I've been diving into that recently, man, and I'm really impressed with a lot of the guys that we landed. You know, I had a top six, okay, and obviously the top six is pretty similar to a lot of your guys'. We had Dane Key in there, we had Deshaun McCullough in there, and Isaiah Hunter, but I really want to revisit that top six that I made because it's a lot different from what I had about a month ago to where I have now, because, you know, diving into these guys' film, I think there's a lot of underrated players in this transfer portal class for Nebraska. And I want to start off with one guy who I fell in love with over the last couple of weeks watching his game. And this is Jameer Khan. And I have a film review coming over for Jameer Khan in the coming weeks. I don't know when I'm going to post that, man. But Jameer Khan is a guy that I'm very high on. Again, transferring in from Southern Illinois. You can play corner. He's physical. He can play safety. So that was an underrated addition for Nebraska. I think he's going to be a contributor from day one. But I know just diving into this transfer portal class and diving into, you know, a lot of the guys that we landed, this is a very, very high quality class for Nebraska. A lot of underrated prospects from the top down. So that's something that I've been, you know, doing a lot over the last couple of weeks, just kind of seeing who we really got in the portal. Yeah, you see the stars next to the name, but that doesn't mean they're actually good. You know, like Elijah Pritchett, you know, I talked about Jameer Khan, who I like. Elijah Pritchett, I dove into particularly a couple of days ago, man. And, you know, there wasn't a lot of good stuff when it comes to Elijah Pritchett, to be completely honest with you. Like, I mean, he was a five-star recruit a couple years ago. He played left tackle, played right tackle. I'm at the point now where I don't even know if Elijah Pritchett's going to start for Nebraska, to be honest with you guys. I don't. I don't. And there was talk earlier this week that Henry Lutufsky is going to move over to right tackle. So I don't, while at the same time I was higher on Jameer Khan after looking over his film, I'm not high on Elijah Pritchett just because he really struggled in the pass pro. His technique's really off. So that's very interesting looking at this transfer portal class. You know, some guys who probably are better than their rating, guys who are worse than their rating. But, you know, at the end of the day, it was still a very, very high-quality transfer portal class for the Huskers. Pretty exciting to see going forward. So, you know, that's the first thing I want to look at or talk about when it comes to Nebraska, is just kind of recapping that transfer portal class. But this is where I want to ask you guys a question. How do you feel about the spring game? Like, what are your thoughts? But let me know in the comment section. What are your thoughts on the spring game going away? So, I don't want to take full credit because I kind of leaked this on the channel. So I posted my video about a week and a half ago at this point, and I posted it on a Wednesday, and I said, Nebraska's not going to have a spring game, basically. A couple hours after I posted that video, Troy Dannon goes on the radio. I don't know if he was receiving calls, people asking him based off my video, because that video got a lot of attention, and he basically clarified, said, yeah, there's probably not going to be a spring game. So I kind of leaked that information. I didn't really have an insider tip there, but, you know, the spring game's interesting, and I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. I'm not mad. And I know I have a hot take there. I'm not mad about the spring game going away. I was never a huge spring game guy to begin with. Just because it's great for the fans, don't get me wrong. And it's great for the kids and the people who can't afford to go to games normally because they're like $5 tickets. But when we're talking about actual product on the field and watching a good football team, and we're watching, you know, a decent product. It never really shows up for the spring game. You know, the first quarter might be interesting, but then they put in all the walk-ons. So I'm not crazy about the spring game to begin with. I wasn't mad they're going to go away with it. Again, here's the dirty little secret, and I'm going to continue to tell you guys this. Troy Dannon's not telling you guys this just yet, but what they're going to plan on doing for the class for the spring game is they're going to have a closed practice. So you're still going to be able to watch the team in the spring if you really want to. If you live in Lincoln, if you live in Omaha, if you live in Nebraska, if you want to fly out there instead. Okay. what they're going to do, and they're still working out the logistics here, is going to be a closed practice, probably $25 tickets. It's going to be a little more expensive. You can go in, you can sit down wherever you want. It's not going to be a game. It's just going to be like a legit practice like they had last fall. No flash photography. It's not going to be recorded by Husker Online, Rivals, so you have to be there in order to see it. Nobody in the stadium can record it. But that's what's going to happen. More likely than not is they're going to go to that mold where you can still go. It's going to be a spring practice more so, but there's not going to be, it's not going to be a broadcast. It's not going to be a whole event. So that's why I think they're going to do. They said something about like a fall sports preview. I think they might do something similar with volleyball too, but that'll be interesting there. Again, I'm not mad about the spring game going away, to be completely honest with you guys. It did more harm than it did good. And it wasn't making a bunch of money for the university at the end of the day. So I'm not mad about the spring game going away. But it'll be interesting to see what they do there. I feel pretty confident that they're going to have a closed down practice for fans still to attend. So that's what's going to happen there. Then I want to talk about, let's talk about some breakout players for Nebraska, guys who we want to see take a big jump next year. You know, the team is going to be very good next year. I'm feeling good about it. I'm feeling like the talent level, we have the best quarterback we've had in some time. We have a strong receiver core. The O-line is getting better. The D-line, I don't know where the D-line is going to look. The secondary is going to be better. We're going to be a talented team, but we need some guys to take a jump. I'm going to ask you guys a question. Who is the biggest player that you want to see take a jump from last year to this year? Okay. I'll let you think about that. Put that in the comment section. I'll respond to what you guys have to say. I'm going to give you back. I will give you mine in a second. But right now, as it stands, of all the players on Nebraska's team, who do you want to see take the biggest jump from last year to this year? From 2024 to 2025. Give you guys 5 more seconds. For me, it's not even a question. It's going to be Quinn Knives. Not even a question. It's going to be Quinn Knives. And I guess I could go Dylan Rhule. I know some of you guys are going to probably put Dylan in there. That's a good pick. In order for Nebraska's offense to take that next step, in my opinion, to be a top 20 offense, to be top 10, you need a bruising running back who's a smart running back who can, you feel comfortable giving into him, inside the 10-yard line, inside the 5-yard lines and guarantee touchdown. We missed that from Dante Dowdell. I think Quinn Knives can be better than Dante Dowdell. That's the one guy I'm looking for next year, man. I need to see Quinn Knives take a jump, because if Quinn Knives is not the player that this coaching staff hypes him up to be, then we have one of the worst running back rooms in the country. And I will stand on that. I know I've got some bad, people are saying, Wilson, that's a bad take. I don't think it's a bad take at all. I mean, this running back room as it stands is not very good. You have Emmett Johnson, who you feel good about. You feel great about Emmett Johnson. But the rest of the guys, in this room, not particularly amazing, when it comes to Quinn Knives, Mekhi Nelson, the true freshman there. So my pick there is Quinn Knives. I want to see what you guys have to say. Obviously, Dylan Rhule is the main one. And I was thinking about this yesterday, man. I rewatched the Illinois game when it comes to Dylan Rhule. And Dylan Rhule was so underwhelming last year. Like, it was bad. It was bad how underwhelming Dylan was. And I know everybody kind of gave him a hard time at the time. They were saying, he's a true freshman. But rewatching these games, ever since the Colorado game, Dylan Rhule wasn't good. He wasn't even average. He was below average. And the thing that I didn't like about Dylan was his deep ball accuracy was horrendous, and that showed up in that Illinois film. And I thought overall his pocket presence wasn't as good as I thought it was, maybe watching those games the first time. So I'm hoping Dylan could take a big step. I don't know, man. Like, I will still stand on this forever, though, is that Dylan should not have played as a true freshman. Like, in an ideal world, if you want the best Dylan Rhule, you should have sat him. Now, I'm not saying that Hoiberg was the right option there, because he wasn't. He was not the right option. But if you got a Kyle McCord last year, and you had Kyle McCord for 1 year, and he went out there and did what he did, what did he put up, like 45 touchdowns this year for Syracuse? And then you had Dylan Rhule going into year 2 with a year to develop. I thought that would have been the best case scenario for Dylan. Throwing Dylan into the fire early, I mean, it just wasn't the right move. It wasn't the right move. We had to do it. It was better to put him out there than put Hoiberg out there. But man, I rewatching this film, it seemed all year that Dillon wasn't ready. And if we had a different quarterback out there like a Kyle McCord, I think our offense could have been a lot more successful. We give, Satterfield the blame all the time. Valid. Completely valid. Like, Satterfield was not that good. He did not deserve to be our offensive coordinator. But at the exact same time, did we really have the right quarterback out there to win us a bunch of football games? I'm going to ask you one question. Was there a single game of Nebraska's 7 wins where you felt like Dylan Raiola was the reason we won? I don't think so. And this is not to crap on Dylan, but I just think he was put in a bad situation. I really do. I really do feel like he was put in a bad situation. So, I don't know. I want to know your guys' thoughts on that, but that's just like rewatching the film, man. And, and we talk about Satterfield even. I got Jalen Lloyd's daddy here. And, I was talking all year about Jalen Lloyd. That bro should have been on the field. And, Jalen Lloyd, there was times in the Iowa game. First play, first drive. Jalen Lloyd wide open on a post route. Same play that Trey Palmer ran in 2022 where he brought that to the house. And the route was on from there. Okay. And Dylan just missed Jalen Lloyd. He missed him. I don't know. That was just frustrating, man. So there was a lot of bad. There's just a lot of bad from this offense. It wasn't just a coordinator issue looking back on the film. It wasn't just a quarterback issue. But, man, nobody really showed up for a lot of those weeks, especially that Iowa game, especially that USC game, man, the UCLA game. So I don't know. That's just something I've been thinking about a lot recently, man. I want to know your guys' thoughts on that. Let's get into the comment section. Demetrius Bell. Oh, man, I'm hoping Demetrius Bell takes a jump. I'm a big Demetrius Bell truther. Like, you guys know how it is. I've been hyped up Demetrius Bell on the channel since last offseason. Like, I don't know how many of y'all were with me last offseason, but every single week I would hear something new about Demetrius Bell. And Demetrius Bell was going to start last year. Like, that's the secret out of Lincoln, is that if Demetrius Bell stayed healthy and didn't get injured in the spring game, he would have started last year. He would have started over Isaiah Nair. He would have started over Jamal Banks. He would have started over Ja'Cory Barney. I'll put it in terms of this, guys. Demetrius Bell, in spring ball last year, before he got injured, Demetrius Bell was better than Ja'Cory Barney. Now, granted, Ja'Cory Barney was coming in for the first time and learning the playbook, but that shows you how good Demetrius Bell is, man. Like, I think he could start next year. A man, Isaiah Coleman, says, what position group needs the most work? It's tough. Again, the running backs, I think, is the easy choice there. DBs, I think DBs is the second up. Because there's so many questions in that DB room. And I feel great that we have Deshaun Singleton coming back, Marquez Buford's coming back, Sear Wright, who was one of the better corners, not only in the Big Ten, but in the country last year. So, again, you feel good about that DB room from a talent perspective. You just don't know who's going to step up there, man. And then, we look at the defensive line as well. It's the same scenario. There's talent in that defensive line room. Keona Davis is talented. Riley Van Poppel's talented. Okay? Elijah Judy's talented. But none of those guys have really ever started. You need some guys to step up. So those are some positional groups that I'm looking at. And the DB, the D-line room was really interesting because we didn't really bring in any quality D-line transfers who can come in and start immediately. Okay, we brought in some DBs who I believe can come in and start immediately, like Andrew Marshall, like a Jameer Khan. In that defensive line transfer portal class, I don't think we brought in a single player who could come in and start next year, okay? Like, Jalen George is not going to start for Nebraska next year. I like Jalen George, but he ain't going to start next year. Gabe Moore, transfer from Mississippi State. I like Gabe Moore a lot more than the majority of the fan base. I'm a big Gabe Moore truther. That was a good addition for Nebraska. But I would be kidding you if I told you that Gabe Moore is going to start next year. And then Williams Nwaneri, who we've reacted to on the channel, very talented kid. I'm not worried about his talent. I'm worried about, can he do all the right things off of the field, put on weight, care about the team first? So, I don't know. That defensive line room is going to be very, very interesting. Any news on Maverick Noonan? Nah, man. I haven't heard nothing. Maverick Noonan's interesting. I always get comments about Maverick Noonan. Like, he's a fan favorite. I get it because of his dad. I'm not like crazy about Maverick Noonan. I don't know. I've watched him and play in high school for years. I thought he was good, but he's not his dad. Like, he's not his dad, man. So I don't know. And he's dealt with injuries so far. He's got to Lincoln. So it'll be. I don't know. I'll keep an eye out. I'm sure I'm sure that'll be a big video if he ever has a good, spring practice or whatever. But I haven't really heard anything about him. Husker Harry says, I think Satterfield was holding him back in regards to Dylan and telling him to play it safe. Maybe. I don't know. I think that's Matt Rhule's philosophy a little bit too much. Like, I think the best part about Dylan's game is I think he can make plays, outside the pocket. He can make plays, off script. We never saw any of that last year, really ever. Like, we saw that maybe one time with that deep shot to Jalen Lloyd. I forget what game that was in, where it was just like a bad ball, but it was underthrown. But it was Jalen Lloyd like right inside the 5. I forgot what game that was. Might have been UCLA. But like we just didn't see much of those off-script Dylan plays. I think that's just a Matt Rhule philosophy. Like he doesn't like that. So I don't know. Satterfield's more of an issue. I agree. I mean, Satterfield's horrendous, man. Like, and again, Satterfield should not be employed by the university. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm hating on him 24/7 because I'm not. Like, I wish Marcus Satterfield the best of luck. But when he went out there on his press conference, what was that? Like third last week of the year. And somebody asked him, a beat reporter, what's a yards per play that would be good for Nebraska? And he says, I have no idea. 4. And 4 would be the worst in college football. Like, that just shows me that this dude should not be employed here, man. Really shows me that. But I digress, man. I agree with what you said the other day and that the linebacker core is going to be really fun to watch. Dude, like this linebacker core, linebacker core might be my favorite in the country. Like I've been really trying to dive into some other teams recently, like some other additions, around the Big Ten. This linebacker core is just I wouldn't say this linebacker core for Nebraska is the best in the world because it's not, but it's fun. It's a fun linebacker core. Like Deshaun McCullough, I've been watching Deshaun McCullough since high school just because he was such a fun player to watch on film. Like Slender Man type beat, man. 6'5", he's slim, but he can make plays. He's fast. Like, he's a fun player. You got Marquez Watson-Trent, who's productive, who's a leader. And then you got Vincent Shavers, who's Levante David 2.0. You got Willis McGahee, who I've been high on since high school. You got Christian Jones in there, Dawson Merritt, both athletic guys. Really, really like this linebacker room. Like, is it going to be the best in the world? No. Is it going to be top 10 in the country? No. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, man. Take that for what it's worth. Is Rocco Spindler good enough to be first or second team All Big Ten? I think he's good enough to be first team All 10, yeah, or All Big Ten. And that's tough, right? Like, if in order to be first team All Big Ten with an 18-team conference, you have to be basically a first-round pick. Good thing is I think Rocco Spindler can be a first-round pick. Like, he had a really good career at Notre Dame. He started, then didn't start, then started again. But he only gave up 2 sacks his entire career. Started 23 games, only gave up 2 sacks. Like, that's really impressive. So I like Rocco Spindler. He's not the perfect player, but I think he's absolutely going to be an NFL draft pick. So I think it's a possibility he can be a first or second, selection there for the All Big Ten. I don't really care about that, to be honest with you. I care about the draft picks, to be honest with you, a lot more because I think that's what recruits care about. But I think he can. I think he can. If you were to give Madden overalls for offense, defense, special teams, and coaching, what would they be? See, that's my deep dive video. But my deep dive video is way down the line. Now that's gonna be in August. I'd say offense, Madden overall for I couldn't even tell you, man. Like for our offense in general, offense gets like a 80 or like a college football 25 rating. Offense gets like a 86. Defense get an 85. I think the defense might be a little bit worse than the offense on talent wise. Dylan needs a little more confidence. I think so too. He lost his confidence as the year progressed. When we went on that losing streak, that was just partially because Dylan would not air the football out, more than 20 yards. And that was probably for the best because he couldn't complete a ball over 20 yards. I don't know. There were some plays too. Like I posted my Ja'Cory Barney highlight video the other day. And I was watching all Ja'Cory Barney's clips when I was, stringing that together. And there was one play, I think it was, I can't remember where it was. It was like against Wisconsin or something. And Dylan Raiola just kind of threw like the laziest football. It's like a lofty football, super underthrown. I thought Dylan, sometimes he would just like loft a football in there. Like he never throws bullet passes when you watch him on film. I don't know why that is. Like there's times you just need to bullet it in there. You have a slant down the middle. You need to bullet it in there. And when Dylan did bullet in there, it wasn't accurate. And that's why he didn't do it. Dylan feels the most comfortable when he kind of can just lofts it, like lazily throw it. So I don't know. That's something. Dylan got to develop a lot. I don't want to be hard on Dylan, but I mean, yeah, he has developed a lot, man. There is a lot of. I mean, I was just really underwhelmed. Like I was always a Dylan defendee throughout the year. Like people would go on my live streams after games and they'd be like, Wilson, Dylan's so bad, and I tell y'all, no, he isn't. But now, like rewatching these games, knowing the result, he might have been pretty bad. I mean, he just wasn't great. He wasn't great. Brian says, I think canceling our spring game is best for the team. I agree with y'all, man. I agree. Like it's just there's not many benefits anymore besides money. That's the only benefit. But it hurts from a transfer portal standpoint. It hurts from, playbook standpoint. You can't really show anything in the playbook because these teams are going to scout it. You don't want to show off your true freshman anymore. So I think more programs are going to do this very quickly. Nebraska got ahead of the curve here, and that's what they needed to do. How many draftees does Nebraska have next year? That's tough. I mean, we can count them out. I think Dane Key's a draftee next year. Feel really good about that. Dane Key 1. Rocco Spindler 2. Not sure about anybody else on the offensive line. I think Marcus Watson Trent could be a third. I think he could be a third. Sear Wright's a 4. Deshaun Singleton's a 5. Yeah, that might be just it. That might be 5. I don't know. But there's a lot that can happen from then to now. This is a hot take to say Justin Evans is the most underappreciated player on the team. I think he's underappreciated. I wouldn't say the most underappreciated player on the team. I mean, Justin Evans kind of struggled this year, honestly. He did struggle a lot in the pass pro. No, he struggled in the running game, not the pass pro. But he is a good player, and he's played since his second year on the team. I think the most underappreciated player on the team for a long time is Emmett Johnson. Now I think Emmett Johnson might be a little overappreciated. And I love EJ, man. Like I'm not gonna sit here. Like I've been an EJ truther for years. I've been an EJ truther since he stepped on campus. But now I think Emmett Johnson might be a little overrated because people are starting to buy in. No, I think the most underappreciated player on the team might be. It's tough, man. It's tough. Underappreciated player on the team. I think it might be Gunnar Gatula, honestly. I thought he was probably our best lineman this year at left tackle. He got thrown to the fire in the second year. I think it might be Gunnar. Dylan Ryle lost his confidence due to Satterfield's offense. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't like Dylan got that much better when Holgorsen got out there. Like, Dylan wasn't great in USC. Dylan was good in, the Wisconsin game. Credit where credit's due. And then Dylan was really bad in Iowa. Like, if Dylan was there's a part of me that thinks if we played Hoiberg that game, we might have won. I don't know. Dylan was not good in the Iowa game. And then Boston College, Dylan was, he was okay. Like, we didn't air out the football at all versus Boston College, so you can't really say. But, I don't know. I don't think Dylan really improved that much under Dana. But it's hard for him to improve because Dana didn't really do anything besides call the plays. Like, he wasn't adding new schematics in there. I could see Dylan have a Heisman type year because of Holgorsen. I hope so, man. I think Dylan's gonna take a big step. I really do. One thing that's gonna be interesting is Dylan. Like, I want Dylan to lose a little bit of weight, and I think I feel bad saying that, but I don't feel as bad because Rhule said the same thing a couple days ago. Rhule said, and I quote, that Raiola's weight needs to get in check or something along those lines at the end of his press conference. I hope Dylan loses a little bit of weight, though. I really do. Because I think the problem with Dylan was he got on campus, last January, and he was so focused on putting on weight, so focused on putting on muscle. And when you do that, when you're so aggressive, you tend to put on some fat as well. So he did kind of have a little bit of a dad bod there. But I hope that he can slim down a little bit because I want him to be elusive. Because he was elusive when you watch those high school films. He was never a runner necessarily, but he could get outside the pocket. Dylan didn't really get outside the pocket last year. So, I don't know. And I think that's just because that's a multitude of reasons. Number one, I think he was a little big. And number two, he had that ankle issue that kind of persisted all year that really wasn't talked about, but he did have that ankle injury. Yeah. Do you think it's probable Dylan's a first-round pick in 2 years? I do. I believe that Dylan will be a first-round pick. Now, do I think he's going to be like the first overall pick that I used to think? I don't know, man. It's tough to say that right now. it was a very underwhelming freshman year. It was underwhelming. It was fine, but it wasn't a first round. It wasn't a like, for example, when Trevor Lawrence had his true freshman year, we knew Trevor Lawrence was going to be a first round pick. We knew he was going to be the first overall pick. And Trevor Lawrence was the number one recruit in the country, just like Dylan. But apples to oranges, Trevor Lawrence also had Clemson, and Clemson was really good. And Nebraska was not good last year. Should Dylan need to practice more on moving outside the pocket this offseason? I don't think he needs to practice that necessarily, but I think, he needs to feel more comfortable with this offensive line. He needs to improve his pocket presence. I want him to get on VR. Now, there's this thing that NFL quarterbacks are doing nowadays where they have a VR headset. And Jaden Daniels does this, who was the rookie of the year this year in the NFL, where these quarterbacks, they put on this VR headset and they have like this little thing, and it lets them basically go through real life game scenarios and see a defense and read a defense at, record time. And then when you get out there and you actually play the real football game, you've already seen that defense. You've already seen that exact play, and you know how to go out there and attack it. And it sounds corny. I know some old people are going to be like, how is that going to work? Like a VR headset? These quarterbacks are doing it, man. And Jaden Daniels has had the best rookie year we've ever seen from a quarterback ever. So I don't know. I want Dylan to get on that VR because that's the new wave of these quarterbacks. But I think he just needs to feel comfortable with his offense more, man. Continue to be a leader. We'll see. Nebraska fans pressured Dylan too much. I agree. 100% I agree with you. I think that's just Nebraska fans in general, though. Like, we are what we are. I think Nebraska fans are passionate, but to a fault sometimes. Like, they'll, we're going to talk cold hard cash here in a couple months, and Nebraska fans will say how, we're going to win 10 games. So, I think they gave him a little bit too much pressure. Yeah, probably. Trevor Lawrence also way better weapons. You're correct. But Trevor Lawrence was also way better. I mean, let's be completely frank. Realistic draft potential for Ty Robinson. I'm going to say, I don't remember what I said in my video. What did I say in my video? I think I said third round for him. I like Ty Robinson, man. I think Ty Robinson, for what it's worth, is going to be a better NFL player than what he was in college. Like, he's a guy whose game really is going to translate better to the NFL. And I thought he got done dirty by the coaching staff with the Scott Frost era and the Matt Rhule era. They just played him out of position. He had to cut weight and then put on weight all the time. I thought, man, but Ty Robinson, man, I'm really happy for him that he's going to, get drafted pretty high. Yeah, man. Yeah, no, I'm excited about this. I'm excited about this receiver room for Nebraska next year. Really excited. Because here's the problem with the receivers, okay? The problem with the receivers is every year we hype them up. Literally every offseason. From 2017 on, 2017 on. Every year we hype up this receiver core like it's going to be phenomenal. We did the same thing last year. Jamal Banks. I thought he was going to be, a first-round draft pick. I was high on Jamal Banks. Isaiah Nair. You got your Cordy Barney, you got Demetrius Bell. We hype up this receiver core every year, and it never turns out to be as good as we thought it was going to be. But this year, I really do think it's going to be the year the receivers are lethal. Okay. Dane Key, man. Dane Key, I don't know if you guys know this. Dane Key is projected to be a first-round pick next year, according to a lot of sites. We just snagged one of the best receivers in the country. Like, I think people know it was a big get. I don't think people know how big of a get it actually was, though. Like, it was huge. You got to stay healthy, though, man. He's been healthy his entire career, but knowing our luck, and I know John Smith just puts in, John Smith has put in, way to jinx a receiver core again. You're darn right. But knowing our luck, Dane Key go get injured or something like that. You know what I mean? But I'm excited about the receiver core, dude. And Isaiah Hunter's a guy that I loved. I loved last year for Cal. I watch a lot of Cal football, unironically, and I loved Isaiah Hunter. Jacory Barney, we already know who he is. Demetrius Bell. You guys already know how I feel about Demetrius Bell. And then we got some younger guys in there who I really like Quinn Clark is interesting. I'm a big Isaiah Mosey guy. I like Isaiah Mosey more than Cortez Mills. I know the fan base loves Cortez Mills. I like Isaiah more. That's me, though. So I like this receiver core a lot. Isaiah says, you were Jamal Banks' biggest fan. I love Jamal Banks' game. I really did. And I still do. I honestly think Jamal Banks did dirtily by Satterfield. Like, we talk about Dylan Raiola getting hurt by Satterfield's offense. Jamal Banks got hurt by Satterfield's offense because Satterfield had no idea how to use him. Satterfield's plays were all these long developing play actions that just didn't fit Jamal Banks' game. Jamal Banks is those intermediate routes, from 10 to 20 yards down the middle, comeback routes. He was great at those, jump balls. We never did any of that with Jamal Banks. They wanted him to go on these go routes all the time in these slants, and it was ridiculous. Like, I don't think Jamal Banks even played that bad ever. Like, I was rewatching the film, and I'm like, Jamal Banks is open here. But Dylan wasn't finding him. And I don't think Dylan built a great connection with Jamal either. I don't blame Dylan for that. Like, Dylan's a true freshman. It's hard to build a connection with a dude who's a senior and you're a freshman. But man, like, I was a Jamal Banks truther, and he just did not turn out to be what I thought he was going to be. But I think it was Satterfield's fault more than anything. And honestly, Isaiah Neyor wasn't that bad. I know we have those like terrible impression of Isaiah Neyor in our head. Isaiah Neyor was our entire receiver core the first 4 games. From UTEP to Illinois, it was the Isaiah Neyor show every week. I don't know what happened with Isaiah Neyor. I just don't. I don't know what happened there. I mean, he fell off. He fell off a cliff. So, and I think the fan base, they were too toxic to him anyways. Like I mean, he obviously had the drop versus Iowa, the quote-unquote loss of the football game. The Isaiah Neyor's drop versus Iowa didn't lose the football game. It didn't. We lost that football game because of a million issues. We lost that football game because of Dylan Raiola fumbling at the end. We lost that football game because of that right tackle who gave up the play at the end, Bryce Benhart. We lost that game because of a million missed opportunities on offense, because of Dana, because of Matt Rhule, because of, Dylan, right? We lost that game because we gave up that 80-yard Caleb Johnson play to the end zone. Like, I don't know, man. We lost that game because we missed a kick. So I know we like to blame all these players. Oh, this one play lost the football game. And football never works like that. It's a million reasons why you lose or win a football game. So I think the fan base, they were too tough on Isaiah Neyor. Like, man, like that was probably the worst. I've never seen anything like that. That was the worst I've ever seen. Like they were rude toward him, man. They did not. They were not great, Mr. Isaiah Neyor. They just weren't. Let's see what we got here. As long as our receivers don't lose tie-up balls and stop dropping balls, we'll be very good. And they got a block, man. They got a block too. They got a block. But I feel good about them blocking, man. I do. Fedoni got hurt most by Satterfield's offense. I don't think so. I think Fedoni actually played all right last year. I think they gave Fedoni the ball too much. Like, Fedoni was not good. And his best days were way behind him. But I think the tight ends got a lot more run than they probably should have. Like, Fedoni was in the game a lot. Borkature had a good year. Lindenmeyer had his best year ever. I don't think Fedoni got hurt at all. I think Fedoni got too much reps, too much run. Anything on Grant Bricks, President Moa? Nothing, man. Putting on good weight. I feel good about President Moa. I'm not a crazy big Grant Bricks guy. I like him at guard. He came in as a tackle, and I was telling y'all when he committed to Nebraska, I said, I like this guy at guard. He should play guard. And I think they did move him to guard now, but I don't know. Those guys are going to continue to put on weight. They're going to be guys on the 2 deep. I feel pretty confident they're going to be in the 2 deep. Hopefully they get some run they can start going into next year, but not this year. Any pursuit of UCLA's running back, he's somebody I want. He's the somebody that I will pound the table for. Like, I don't want to sit here and say that I have much influence, but I think I have a little bit of influence. So if I continue to pound the table, I think they might say something there. Somebody might, get a hold of that. But I love TJ Harden, dude. Like, UCLA's running back TJ Harden. We need another body in there. We needed a guy who can come in here and start and give Emmett a run for his money. Like, who says if Emmett's handed the job right now that he's not going to become complacent, not improve? I don't know. We need competition in that running back room. So I love TJ Harden. We're not pursuing him, at least not to my knowledge. But I'm going to pound the table for him. Hopefully we can get something happening there. I don't know. Gibson Pyle gives promise. I love Gibson Pyle. I loved him as a high school player. I thought coming out of high school, Gibson Pyle was better than Preston Moa and Grant Bricks. Now, the problem with Gibson Pyle is he got a DUI. He was pardoned up his freshman year. Like, man. Like I don't want to call out these kids because they're my age, but like Gibson, man, like you can't be doing that. If you want to be a successful player in college in this Matt Rhule coach team, you can't be going out partying every night and getting DUIs, dog. You just can't. You just can't. And I know there's players in the past who've done that in Nebraska and been successful. J.D. Spielmans of the world, who go out, party every night, drink, smoke, whatever you want to do, and they're putting up points on game day. That's cool. But you aren't J.D. Spielman. J.D. Spielman was a productive player, and he did that. Okay? You can't do that as a freshman. That's my point. Anyways, there's a lot of players who do that. There's a lot of freshmen who do that. Trust me. But yeah, not going to come here because he wants to be a starter. Probably. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't think T.J. Harden's got a bunch of interest from the portal either. Like I don't know if anywhere he goes is going to be a starter. I think he wants to go to the Power 4 ranks. He has 1 year of eligibility left. He's not going to drop down to go to, Fresno State. So if he wants to stay in Power 4 and wants to at least get a boatload of the carries, like if he comes here, I think he's going to get 40% of the carries. He's going to be a third down running back. I would take that. Like, give me a running back like T.J. Harden who can catch balls, who can block. All these guys talk about blocking all the time. T.J. Harden would instantly become our best blocker in that running back room, and it wouldn't even be particularly close. Y'all want blocking? Y'all want effort? Let's get T.J. Harden. I don't get what the holdup is there. I don't know. I'm a big T.J. Harden guy, though. He can do just about everything. So, have the spring game. If somebody leaves for a bag, so be it. Living in fear is ridiculous. I don't agree with that, man. The tampering is the what's happening nowadays. That's reality, man. Tampering happens. That you think some schools weren't calling Jacory Barney after that spring game last year trying to get him to transfer? You're wrong. Chief Borders? You're wrong, right? It's not that we're living in fear. It's that we're being smart here. We know what we got. We're not letting these teams get a little look-see at them so they can offer them some money and get them over there. So I think this is the right move for Nebraska. The spring game, it just doesn't give as much benefit as as I think you think it is. Like, I mean, it's a practice for the fans. The fans going to go out there, have a good time, have a $5 ticket. Like, that's cool. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's like a great football experience. It's a game, sure, but you're not watching high quality football. You're just kind of going out there to support our boys. That's really what it is. So although it's a tradition, it's just not something that I've been super attached to. Like I love the spring game. Like I went growing up. I haven't went as much in the past. I go to every home game, but not the spring game. I don't know. I'm just not crazy about it. And again, they're still going to have something like the spring game. So if you really want to see the team, you can bring your family. Like they're going to have that. They're going to have a close practice. It's just not going to be televised. So it's not that you're getting away with it completely. It's just going to be, kind of. So what do you think about the Super Bowl tomorrow? Man, let me know let me know first off. Let me know what you guys who do you guys have first off, two parts. Who are you rooting for and who do you think is going to win? I'm rooting for the Chiefs. I'm not going to lie. And I'm not a Chiefs fan. Not even close to a Chiefs fan. Like I'm a Commanders fan through and through. I do not like the Chiefs. But if of all the teams that I dislike, the Chiefs are right here. There's only a couple of teams above that. Eagles are right here. I cannot root for the dang stinking Eagles. So I'm rooting for the Chiefs. I'm rooting for Mahomes. I do think the Eagles win tomorrow. I do. And it's hard to count out Mahomes, especially in that fourth quarter. Game gets tight. Mahomes is going to make the play. Travis Kelce's going to make that play to win. But I think the Eagles roster is so much better. From an O-line standpoint, from a trenches standpoint, they have the best running back. Like Saquon Barkley's having the best year we've seen in a while. They have a great defense. They're hungry after losing to the Chiefs the first time. So again, I hate the Eagles so much. Like Eagles fans are the scum of the earth. Like here are Iowa fans. Here are Eagles fans. Eagles fans are the scum of the earth. They do not deserve this. But if I'm being real, I think the Eagles are going to win tomorrow. I hate that, man. It makes me sick. It makes me sick to my stomach. Absolutely sick to my stomach. But that's what I think is going to happen. I'd say it's going to be a close game, though. But the trenches, man, that's where that game's going to be won. Eagles have some better trenches there. They got the better O-line, got the better D-line. Got Cam Jurgens on the O-line, man. Corn-fed. You already know how it is. Nebraska boys. So give me the Eagles there. Only if the Eagles win, shout out to Cam Jurgens. Only guy I'm happy for. Not happy for anybody else there in Philadelphia. So That's my take. This guy says, don't care about the Super Bowl unless the Packers were in it. Man, Packers ain't making it for a long time. You guys, man, I don't know. You guys aren't making it in a long time, man. Trust me. No, I'm kidding. Hopefully, I'm not a Packers hater though. To be fair, I thought Gabe Ervin was going to have his year if he were to stay after Dowdell left. I know Gabe left before Dowdell. He was a big dude. The thing about Gabe is that he was never healthy. Like I ain't mad about Gabe leaving just because Gabe could never stay on the field. When he was healthy and he was starting, he got hurt. So who says if he were to come back and be our, quote unquote power get back for next year that he wouldn't have got hurt? I don't know, because he got hurt all 4 years where he actually played. So that's my thing about Gabe is that, like, I wasn't mad seeing him gone. I love Gabe. He was a good player here, but he just always got hurt. And he was not as good as he used to be because when you have that many injuries in your career, you're damaged goods. You're damaged goods. But that's my take there. I think it would be great to see Harding just not a feeling like he will come here to play. I think he is hella good too, man. Yeah, I like Harding a lot. Or Hardley Gilmore, I think you mean. Hardley Gilmore is a stud. Florida boy, man. Like, he plays like he's angry. He plays like he's pissed off. I like that. I like that a lot. I don't know. But from talking to some Kentucky fans, like, he got some issues off the field, and that's what you'd imagine with a lot of receivers. Like, that's why I always preach to these wide receivers. I don't care about the talent because all these guys are talented. The Isaiah Motes of the world, the Cortez Mills of the world, the Malachi Coleman's of the world, right? I don't care about their talent because all these guys are talented. I feel comfortable with every single, wide receiver that we have in their talent levels. I'm not comfortable with what they do off the field. Okay. The wide receivers who will play at Nebraska are the ones who can figure it out off the field. Okay. Those are the ones who will play. And if you can't figure out your crap, and you can't go to practice on time, you can't learn the playbook, and you can't completely dedicate yourself to the team, you're not going to play. So that's why I was impressed with Ja'Cory Barney. Like, I had the exact same question to Ja'Cory Barney, man. I had the exact same question with Ja'Cory Barney last year. Like, I love Ja'Cory Barney coming out of Orlando, Florida. Or what was he? He's a Miami boy. Love Ja'Cory. Shifty, great route tree in high school, great hands. My main thing, though, with Ja'Cory was, can he acclimate himself to the team? Can he be a team player? Can he learn the playbook as quick as possible? And he checked all those boxes, and that's why he played, and that's why he was impactful. That's what Hardley Gilmore needs to do as well, man. I'm late, but at least I got notification this time. Spring game is way more risky than work. Completely agree with y'all. Completely agree. It's not worth it in my opinion. It's just not worth it. And it's not that big of a tradition for me to really care about that much. I don't know. Again, they're still going to have some. It's not like it's going to go away forever. Like, they're still going to have something, but it's not going to be traditional. Go New York Giants. Man, come on. Get that out of here, dog. I don't mind you hating on the Eagles fans, but seriously, you're a Commando fan. I know they had a good year, but the Commanders, dang. My dad was a fan, man. My dad was a Redskins fan growing up. I was a Redskins fan growing up my entire life, and we sucked my entire life. We had one good year this year, so I'm happy about that. So if the damn Redskins Commanders can go to the NFC Championship game, the Huskers can go to the college football playoffs. I believe it now, man. I believe it. We're going playoffs next year, dog. Do you think Malcolm Hartzog will start due to injuries since we don't have a ton of depth? No. I don't think Malcolm Simpson will play at all this year. I think I would be shocked if we see Malcolm Simpson play one game. And it's not because Malcolm Simpson's not good, because he is. It's just because he's not an early enrollee. And when you're not an early enrollee, you are behind everybody. He's going to get encompassed in July and have to learn the playbook ASAP, right? So I don't think he's going to play. Not this year. Barney needs to put on weight. I think Barney's fine where he's at. Like, what's Ja'Cory Barney's weight right now? Like, what's his weight? Hold on. Let's pull this up. Ja'Cory Barney right now for Nebraska is 170. I mean, maybe like 190. You'd feel good. Like, yeah, like probably about 20 pounds. But, like, I don't think he needs to put on like a bunch of weight. Like, he's fine. You're not asking him to block necessarily. So the best part about Barney's game is how elusive he is. And that's probably because he's skinny. I don't know. I mean, we just had a wide receiver win Heisman a couple years ago, and Devonta Smith, who was like 172. So, do you think a Reed Gilbert would have been an impact player? Nah. Reed Gilbert sucks, man. That dude sucked. And he was a terrible player. He was a terrible person, man. Like, robbing a vape store, bro. Man, I don't like calling people bad people, man, because I think that's not nice. And I haven't met Reed Gilbert personally, so I'm not gonna say he's a bad person. I take that back. But man, like robbing a vape store, really? What are we doing there? But he was toxic, man. Like, he was toxic. He had a bunch of issues out the field to begin with. Yeah. No comment. No more comment. Do you think rooming with Dylan helped Ja'Cory Barney be so successful in his first year? Did he room with Dylan? I didn't know that. I don't know. And they were roommates. No, I had no idea. If that's the case, then yeah, I think absolutely that helped him. I think Dylan had a great connection with Ja'Cory. Of all the players Dylan had the best connection with, I'd say Fedoni was number one. I'd say Ja'Cory was number two, and then probably Zay Nair was number three. Like, he had a good connection with those guys. So, yeah. But I just – and Matt Rhule talked about this the other day. Like, I just hope Dylan Raiola can become more of a leader this year. Like, again, he was kind of a leader last year, and you didn't expect him to be too much of a leader because he's a true freshman. But, like, he was kind of cliquey last year, right? Like, he had his guys, but he wasn't, like, a big team guy, you know? Like, I mean, he was a team guy. He loves Nebraska, but he wasn't, like, you know, tight-knit with every single receiver, every single play on that offense. He wasn't tight-knit with the O-line like that. Like, I'm hoping this year – I think in order to be a successful quarterback, not only do you have to be a good quarterback, but you got to be a good dude. You know what I mean? You gotta know everybody. You got to be kind of like the president of the offense in a way. You got to be best friends with everybody, not just like a particular couple people. And I'm not calling out Dylan. There's a bunch of quarterbacks who do the same thing, but I want Dylan to kind of build a connection with everybody. Like, take time. You know, like if Dylan feels like he has a great connection with Dane Key, but he doesn't have a great connection with Isaiah or Isaiah Hunter, I want him to go and text Isaiah and say, hey, Isaiah, let's go out and work out together, man. Like, build that connection one-on-one with every single receiver, but not just the wide receivers, the running backs, the offensive linemen. So hopefully he can do that. That's not something we can gauge. But I think that really helps out when you get to the season. You can trust everybody around you. You're familiar with your wide receivers, what they do well, when they get open, what's their best route. Okay. And when you're better friends with these receivers, that's going to help you again go through those progressions. Find the open man. Trusting your guys. Being a good quarterback is trusting your receivers, dang it. I don't know how much Dylan trusted receivers last year, besides, a couple. Do you guys really think he trusted Jamal Banks last year? I don't think so. For better or worse. I mean, Jamal Banks was a good receiver, I felt like, but I'll stand on that. I just don't think Jamal Banks got a fair chance. I don't know. That's just me, though. But, again, I just hope Dylan can continue to improve. I really do. And I think he will. I'm just looking on that leadership quality. Like, how he needs to develop as a leader. He just needs to. I love Dylan, though, man. I think he loves Nebraska, man. He's like a spokesman. Like, he's going out to these high school basketball games, taking flicks with these kids, man. I love that. He loves the university. He's going to these basketball games all the time, these volleyball games. So I think that's really cool from Dylan, man. Like, I like that. That's genuine, man. That's cool. Not a lot of quarterbacks do that in Nebraska. He understands how important it is to be a Nebraska quarterback. But at the same time, you want to be active in the community, but maybe not a little too much. I don't know. Maybe not too much. Like, Casey Thompson wasn't active. You would never see Casey Thompson out and about. Ever. Casey Thompson would never go to any games. You would never see him, going at a restaurant. You never see him around campus. But Casey Thompson's a pretty darn good quarterback. Was he a leader? Maybe not. I don't know. So I say that a grain of salt. Like, I love that Dylan's going out and about and being a spokesman. At the same time, maybe you got to, there's pros and cons. How do you feel about Daniels winning Rookie of the Year for your Commanders, man? Pumped, dude. I'm happy for him, man. He's a hell of a quarterback. And I'm hoping Nebraska can have a quarterback like him. I hope Nebraska gets a dual threat. I think I see a little bit of TJ Lateef and Dane Daniels. I don't know. Hoping TJ can have a big year, man. I'm hoping TJ can have a big year. Uh, oh man, I just saw a dude from high school put something in my chat. Oh my goodness, that's funny. How do we not hear roommates every other word from the announcers all year long? I didn't know that, man. Were Corey and Dylan roommates? Because I did not know that whatsoever. They might have been, but that went over my head. I don't know. Do you think Donnie Dowdell will be the next running back for Kentucky? Probably not. But I will tell you this: Kentucky knows how to develop. They know how to develop running backs, especially power backs. So he went to a good place. Dylan definitely does his part, recruiting and all. Yeah, I like that about Dylan too. He's a good recruiter, man. Like that's something we talk about on the channel, every week. Is how good of a recruiter he is. Like these wide receivers did not come to Nebraska for Matt Rhule. They didn't. These receivers did not come to Nebraska, for Dan Holgorsen. They came to Nebraska because they want to play Dylan. I think that speaks volumes, man. You go to the war with the guys you love and respect, man. Exactly. And again, this is when that's built up, man. Winter conditioning, like this is when you build that camaraderie, and that's very important. Like it can't be gauged. We're not in these workouts, but in winter condition, you're building these friendships, you're building these relationships. Okay. That's important when we get into November. We're playing Iowa, and it's the fourth quarter. And I know some of y'all don't think it is, but it very much is. Okay. When you trust your brother right next to you to make a play, it's a lot better than, hey, having no faith in him. Too many times, I think this Nebraska football team, with the Scott Frost era and beyond, we've been talented, but we haven't been a close-knit locker room, man. And these guys are, going to the league and stuff and being good players. But when we get in close games and nobody's friends and nobody gives a crap about each other and it gets tight, if you're not friends with each other and you don't know each other, how can you feel comfortable with your team and have any confidence that you're going to go out and win a close game? You don't. So that's the importance right now for Nebraska, is to build up those friendships, build up the camaraderies. That's what happens in winter conditioning, man. Like that's the third thing: speed, weight, speed, strength, and friendships. Like that's really it. And the friendships part might be the most important thing. If we have a losing record next year, as Rhule in the hot seat, absolutely he is. It's not even a question. But I don't think we are gonna. If we have a losing season next year, holy crap, man! Why can't Nebraska just have why can't Nebraska just ever defy the odds? I don't know. Well, that's something I think about all the time. Like it feels like we're pulling teeth to win games. And we look at teams like Indiana who have a good year out of nowhere, Why can't Nebraska just defy the odds one of these years and win some games they don't deserve to win? Get some calls that go their way. Every other team has that happen but Nebraska. I don't get it, man. I don't get that, man. But, yeah, if a Matt Rhule has a losing record, you should be on the hot seat. But will he have a losing record? Probably not. How about our O-line now that we got 2 transfers? You feel good about it. I think we should take another one. I want a guard transfer or a center, personally. Again, it just goes back to how much do you want to protect Dylan? How important is protecting Dylan to you guys? If it's number one on your list of priorities, then absolutely take another offensive lineman. If it's not, then okay, cool. We don't have to go get it. But I think we need to protect Dylan. We need to have a good O-line, the running game. We need to have a top 20 unit. Okay, if you have a top 20 offensive line, it's very hard to win football games. Or it's very hard to lose football games, I should say. Okay. When you're dominating the opposing D-line, that's such a benefit. We've never done that. So I would take another O-lineman, man. I really would. I'm behind on watching your stuff. Any update on O-line recruits? Good news. As for high school recruits, I mean, we had a lot on campus for Elite Junior Day, but not a bunch of stuff going on right now. I mean, right now is kind of a dead period for recruiting. Like right now on the channel, we're kind of just going over the main guys in Nebraska's going after. But once we get into the spring, like we'll get on those visits. Like visits will be huge. But there's not a bunch of updates going on right now. Not a bunch of updates. We did miss out on one of my favorite offensive line recruits out of South Dakota the other day. What was his name? Hudson Parliament. Loved that recruit, and he committed to Iowa. So that sucks. My conclusion, God loves testing Husker fans. How much can we take? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. God must hate us or something. Tom Osborne made a deal with the devil. So that's what people say. Maybe he did. I don't get it. I really don't. I don't get it, man. We should be a lot better every year than we are. It's just I don't get how Nebraska never gets lucky. That's my thing. Bad teams get lucky from time to time. Bad teams can win an upset time to time and not play their best football. Nebraska just never even gets lucky. Again, we were pulling teeth to win games. And even when we do win games, it looks ugly, like the Rutgers game. The bottom line is it can never be easy for Nebraska. I don't get that, man. It can never be easy. Whatever. Whatevs. Oh, shoot. Duke's losing to Clemson. Duke's losing to Clemson 20 seconds left. That's crazy. Off topic, but I think the Hoosiers are going to completely drop. I think so, too. Like, they're going to be a bowl-eligible team. They ain't going to be what they were this year. I don't even know. But Bo Pelini cursed us. Nah. Maybe when we fired him, he cursed us, but not when he was with us. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I mean, we can't win close games ever. I don't know. The thing about Nebraska football is that we're just so predictable. You know, when the game gets tight, like the Iowa game was so predictable. Like when the second, we lost the game, I was like, it happened again, man. We found a way to lose at the very end. We found a way to blow it right in the worst way possible. Nebraska does that every single time. I can't, put that into words. I don't know why, but you can't. I don't know if we can really fix it on the offseason, but that's going to be the difference. Like, when you want to win more games next year, how confident do you feel with our team in a close game scenario? The best teams win games when it gets close. Spoiler alert, not every single game is going to be a blowout. Okay? Not every game is going to be scripted from the very beginning. You should want the game to get tight. You should feel comfortable with the game being tight. Who are the best teams? Who are the best teams in the NFL? Kansas City Chiefs, Philadelphia Eagles, Washington Commanders. Crazy to say that. Buffalo Bills. What do all those teams have in common? When the game gets tight, they feel comfortable with their team. They feel comfortable with their coaching. They'll go out there and execute, and they make that final play. Those are what put those teams above the rest of the pack. The teams who are not good are the teams that when the game gets tight, they don't know how to win. Nebraska's been that for the last half decade. Find ways to win close games. That's the number one objective this offseason. That's for Matt Rhule. That's for this coaching staff. That's for the team. But if you can't win close games, you're not a good team. Like we talked about all the time, in the 21 season where we went 3-9. We're like, this is the best 3-9 team of all time because we lost so many close games. We were a garbage team because losing close games is still a loss. And if you can't win a close game scenario, you're clearly not very good because you have no confidence in anybody, in anything. I don't know. Like, I'm tired of the moral victories. I was appalled. I mean, some of you guys were in my live stream after the Ohio State game. Little did we know that Ohio State would go on to win the national championship, but I was appalled that we lost the Ohio State game. Not because, we almost won, but it was because we lost. And we should have won. And I don't care how good Ohio State is or what they ended up winning. It's that we should have won that football game. I know people were in my chat after that game, and they're like, Wilson, you should be happy. It's a close loss. It means we're progressing as a team. I don't care about any of that. It doesn't matter who you play. If you can't win when the game gets tight, it does not mean you're a good team. It can be against Ohio State. It can be against Utah. If you can't win when the game gets tight, you're not good. And in that game in particular, we had a phenomenal opportunity to make a statement. You know how big that game would have been if we beat Ohio State? You know how big that game would have been? Not only for us, but we would have knocked Ohio State out of the playoffs. Talk about them winning a national championship. If we beat them and they go on to lose against Michigan again, we would have knocked that team out of the playoffs. And that would have been, Matt Rhule's biggest win ever. Man, it would have been huge. Woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? That's the story of Nebraska football. I said all that to say this. You got to win close games. We should never do more victories here because we expect to win every game we play, unless it's, against a top-tier team. But if you get in a close game, you got to win it, man. You got to win it. Always. You got to win it. So that's why I was so frustrated after the Ohio State game. I was so frustrated, man. Y'all can rewatch that if you guys have time tonight. I was appalled. I was appalled. Dylan definitely needs to step it up. I think he has some true competition in that room. Yeah, man. I mean, you guys already know how I feel about Marcus Davila. Like, I love Marcus Davila. I think Marcus Davila can really ball. I think he could really ball. So I'm excited to see what he got in spring ball. And I'm excited, to see what TJ has. I was talking with his dad. This had to have been November. And, his dad was talking my ear off about how he thinks TJ is going to come in there and compete, as a true freshman. So I'm excited to watch TJ play, dude. I really am. I hope Dylan has real competition. I really do. You don't play expecting close games. You expect to dominate. Dominant teams win close games. You're right. Dominant teams win close games, but you can't go out there and expect to dominate. That's just not football. You got to go out there as a good team against anybody you play and expect to be in a close game scenario. Okay, you might want to go out there and blow them out, sure. But if you have the mindset that you're going to go out there and dominate and it ends up being a close game, you're going to lose because you weren't anticipating that happening. Good teams, and this is why, the Ohio States of the world. Ohio State, before every, game, they're expecting a close game. That's what Ryan Day says all the time. He says, we're expecting a close game. That's what they preach. I don't know. We'll see, though. Rhule has a roster to thin out. Matt drills are going to suck this year. He says, we're just going to cut walk-ons. That's really bad. And we're not cutting any scholarship guys. Maybe a couple here and there. But some DBs, maybe. Like, there are some DBs I think are going to get cut. Like the Braylon Pruitts of the world. The Rex Guthries of the world, I can see them getting cut just because the type of DBs we recruited under Evan Cooper are so different than the type of DBs that Addison Williams wants. Have faith. We have another chance at a huge upset this year at Penn State. I believe we have a shot. I think we do too, to be honest with you, just because we have a bye week before that game. So we're going to be healthy. We're going to be rested up. So I do think we have an opportunity there. But Penn State's going to be good, man. They got both those running backs. So we'll see. I like that game a lot more if we play them at home. Now, the Michigan game is going to be really interesting. Like, Michigan's probably going to be ranked. That's at Nebraska. That's our big chance right there, man. That is our big chance. So I'm excited to watch that one. Yeah, man. But it's been a crazy couple months. The off season. I love the off season though. I really do. Like, this is when the channel starts to thrive because we talk recruiting here. We talk whatever's going on. And I like the off season. It's fun. We got a long off season ahead of us though, because I'm excited about next year. I really am. It's gonna be fun. But we have a lot to talk about, a lot of recruiting that I'm gonna keep you guys updated on. Theo says what we got here? $10. Appreciate you, $10, Theo. He says interesting takes, like your live shows. Appreciate you so much, Theo. Again, I try to bring y'all some live shows every now and then. It gets busy with college, but I'm trying to bring y'all some. This obviously when we get in the summer, I'll bring you guys more live streams for sure. Faux show. Dana Bonner says, I say we win 10, 11 games this next year. I hope so, dude. Hope so. I can't go that high. I'd say like 8 or 9 for me. 8 or 9 for me. I can't go that high, but I like the optimism a lot. All right, guys. Put your final stuff in the comment section. I don't want to hold you guys here too much longer. Just wanted to chop it up with you guys talking about the offseason. Let me know the final things y'all want to talk about, whether that's the spring game, the basketball team. We haven't even talked about the basketball team, man. They're playing good. They're playing good ball. We play Ohio State tomorrow. That'll be a tough game. Ohio State, it should not be that tough. They're not phenomenal, but they just beat Maryland. And we know how Nebraska likes to lose games they shouldn't lose. So that'll be interesting to see. Nebraska basketball, they're cooking. So that's going on right now. I mean, what else even is there, man? Volleyball had the big week with Buzz Boom and everything going on there. I mean, that was pretty much it. So, yeah, it looks like the chat has nothing else to talk about. It's cool with me. Everybody, appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight. Chopping up, talking Nebraska ball. Hey, hit that like button. Really helps me on the stream. Please hit that like button before we get out of here. Yeah, man. Please subscribe. If you guys haven't subscribed already, really helps me out and continue to produce daily content for you guys all off season long. As always, folks, go be grab. Go Matt Rhule. And I'll see you guys in the next one.